Hey friends, it's time for class. All right, everybody, happy Monday. Welcome to the April 2026 meeting of the Curriculum Committee of the School Board. We are going to jump right in, and we're going to start with the list of contracts. So, Mr. Weinstein.
Thank you, Ms. Kalish. I'm going to ask the curriculum team if you would join us at the table. And many of these are renewals. When they're not renewals, we'll spend a little bit more time on it. And we'll go through the list one at a time and share and take questions at the end or wherever you would like. You're the board. We're going to start with Amplified Desmos, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Schwartz.
Are we okay?
Yeah, no.
There we go. Good evening, everyone. I will take the first contract. It is Amplified Desmos. This is the final piece of our phased implementation of our new core curriculum. The $43,000 cost represents 250 student licenses for the online platform, as well as 250 consumable textbooks per year over 5 years. 5 years being it matches the existing contract in our other grades, so that the contracts expired about the same time. Again, we're in year 2. I'll talk more about where we are in our implementation, in a different presentation later.
What Dr. Schwartz is referencing is after the contract review, we'll have 2 presentations for you tonight. One will be last year, if you remember around this time, Dr. Lilly at that point presented on Amplified Desmos. And if you remember, there was an interactive activity that a Bala Cynwyd Middle School teacher led. This is, I think, our last phase of implementation with the 7th grade curriculum. So Dr. Schwartz, after the contract reviews, will be the first presentation, more in the form of an update of big program implementations happening. How is that going so far? And then we'll do a full day kindergarten year 2 update. I'm going to go to the next contract, which is Brooke Workman Consulting, to Dr. Martin Patone.
Hi. This falls in line with the structured literacy and science of reading work we've been doing over the past it's a 3 to 5 year plan. So Brooke has been instrumental in terms of professional learning with teachers and administrators and working in partnership to provide one-on-one or PLC learning in terms of, it started with foundations and then we're into the small group instructional support with guided reading practices. So this would be a continuation of that work as we move up into level 3 and level 4.
All right, so we also have a common lit renewal. That is really what would be for grades 5 through 12, the core resource that's used for ELA instruction, reading and writing across the grade levels. So it is a renewal. It has unit designs, but it also has text that can be pulled and used to either build background knowledge or to be the text that is of central focus for a unit of instruction. That's all grades 5 through 12. That is me as well. This is a tier 1 resource. It is a resource that's also used K to 4, continues 5 through 8, and it's actually a digital resource that's for teachers. So it's like, what are the digital tools that we have? What are the scaffolded resources we have that teachers can look to say if a student is struggling with a concept? How can we look at standards aligned content and make sure we're able to help a student who is struggling with content? There's a resource bank here that extends to also if a student needs an area of enrichment.
Can you say the name of what it is?
Yes, it is the iReady Toolbox. iReady Toolbox reading.
Associates one?
Yes.
Okay,
yep.
Great, thanks.
And again, this is a tier 1 resource.
Dr. Schwartz.
Sure. Delta Math is a supplemental resource used frequently in our grades 5 through 12 math classes. Delta Math is an online platform that allows teachers to create practice sets that can both be printed for paper and pencil practice, as well as completed online for immediate feedback. The $11,900 cost covers all teachers and students in grades 5 through 12. The site also has a wealth of instructional videos and tutorials to support instruction and to aid students at home when the teacher's not available for help. In looking at usage from last year to see if we're getting value out of our continued usage, over 115 teachers have created 3,000 assignments this year, showing that they are regularly using it across three middle school and the 2 high schools.
Next is Garbanzo. This supports our world language program. In grades 5 through 12, we're looking for 17 licenses for 17 Spanish teachers and 10 for 10 French teachers. It supports world language instruction, provides teachers with high-quality standards-aligned resources, expands access to authentic texts and media to strengthen language acquisition and cultural understanding, and enhances classroom instruction with differentiated resources. So many of our world language classes at both of our high schools have multiple levels in the same classroom, the way we schedule. So you'll look at maybe a 3 college prep class with a 2 honors class in the same room. So there are different levels, and it's probably one of our most differentiated subjects that we offer as world language because of the way we schedule that. So this helps teachers support that differentiated learning. Rob and Drew?
Want to go first?
Sure. All right, so something that is not necessarily noted here, but I want to highlight. ELA is adding on grades 5 through 8 with IXL. And what we're looking to do with this is we're actually going to, and if we move this forward, we're going to pull back the no red ink contract. So that would not be something that we would be renewing going into the next year of middle school. So this isn't something, this would be replacing that no red ink resource. And I want to name that no red ink last year was $36,174. So it was a pretty hefty price tag for a resource that really went deep into grammar instruction, but also had reached high levels of frustration for students. So we are looking to add on grades 5 through 8. We'll get not just grammar content, there would be ELA, there would be writing standards that are addressed there as well. I think one of the things that's really rich here in doing that is we're able to create those strong foundations for students. How do we build up those strong foundational skills? So we're able to dive into deeper areas of content across ELA instruction in the classroom.
From the math side, we would be looking to renew what we currently have been using. For those unfamiliar, IXL is another supplemental program used very frequently in our 5 through 12 classrooms. Teachers use IXL for its diagnostic to help teachers identify students' strengths and weaknesses and to set goals with students, which we think is really important to move every kid forward. IXL is used for independent practice. Teachers use it to assign problem sets that are aligned to both their core curriculum, Keystone and PSSA, SAT, ACT, to allow practice in that regard as well. Teachers share that the value the program adds is relative to differentiation. It allows them to, the complexity of the types of problems the students see within one particular skill ramps up as they answer more questions correctly. The data analysis to identify where students need more support, and the immediate feedback that it can provide students when the teacher isn't able to meet with every single student, at every minute.
So also up for renewal is Mac and Via. This is a really rich resource that gives students access to audiobooks, online books. This occurs throughout the year, so even over summer, the students have access to these books. Something else that we've utilized this year that I'm excited to see continue to grow is even giving students access to audio versions of texts that are being studied in our curricular content. So I think this has been a really great resource, and we're looking to expand upon it as well. All right, the New York Times subscription. This is a resource that we've had. It has been used across our high schools and our middle schools as well. We are looking to make sure that there are available online resources or online accounts for teachers and students that they have access to content. This makes learning relevant across content areas. So this is something that is able to take real-world implications for what's happening beyond the classroom walls, make it relevant for what's happening within the classroom, And we're able to do this, I think when you're looking at this, we're able to do this in science, social studies, reading, math, and look for those real world connections to what's happening in the world around them. And TCI as well. This is our 6th grade social studies resource. So this is well, 1-year extension of a 6th grade resource that we've had the last few years. It's been a 1-year extension, but gives online access to digital textbooks. Students are able to access that at home. Also has online access to interactive lessons and on multimodal content for 6th grade social studies as well.
Okay, let's go through and do any questions we have before we move on to Power School and Schoology. Does anybody have any questions on any of these contracts? Okay, you go ahead, Abby.
Hi, thank you very much. I have a question that touches Common Lit and Garbanzo, both of them. Are they screen-based, or are they only like e-learning, or are they physical as well?
Common Lit is both e-learning, and it can also be, those are resources we can print out and have hands-on copy in class as well.
And Garbanzo is only, oh, sorry, I knew you weren't, yeah. So Garbanzo,
Garbanzo is a digital license that supports teachers who often, I believe, print them out and share in class. Yeah.
so the differentiated resources you were saying, those could be printed out to be, I just want to like clarify it in my head, because when I think of differentiated, I think of like flashcards or something like that. How is that tracked on if the teachers are printing them out?
I don't know if they're currently tracking that or not. It's going to give them a subscription to allow them to access that content.
Okay.
Whether they primarily use it digitally or print that out, I'm not certain.
Okay.
Yep.
I was just curious. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Jen, you go ahead.
Mine's super quick. Scott or anyone, just assume, I don't want to assume, but since they're renewals, this was already part of this budget, this current budget, right? These renewals were built in?
Correct. This is built in for next year's budget.
Okay, thank you. Just didn't want to assume. Thank you.
Yep.
Short person problems here. Are all of these renewals, just wanted to clarify, are any of them new contracts?
IXL is new and as related to ELA.
Yeah, okay.
And that replaced No Red Ink. Garbanzo I have is new as well. And Amplified Desmos is presented previously, but
Yeah.
it's new in terms of purchasing.
Gotcha. And then for the Delta Math, are there any capabilities in Desmos that could potentially do things that Delta Math does, or no, they're like totally separate?
So there are some overlapping pieces in all of these. I think the key is when you consider any core curriculum, right? When publishers create curriculum, they don't specifically create them for the Lower Merion School District, right? They create curriculum for Florida, California, and Texas. And when it's, if they were just trying to sell it to school districts like Lower Merion, we're a relative unicorn in many ways. They probably wouldn't sell it to as many places. So there are pieces of Amplified Desmos that that fit for what we're doing, and go around to we'll talk more about Amplified Desmos and kind of the way it's structured. But a lot of these supplemental pieces are making sure that we have the right resources for our students.
Okay, great. And then I have one quick question for the New York Times one. I noticed that it was for 12,000 licenses. If it's just our middle school and high school students, where do the 12,000 come from? Where does that come from?
So what we're looking to do here is make sure that we have licenses that would encompass teachers, faculty, students. And this is something that it is available K-12, but just make sure we've run into issues where, this past year specifically, where we did not have enough licenses, and wanted to make sure that we were able to ensure that the licenses were available. There is a license range that exists there, so this is up to 12,000. I can get you what that range would be, but that is going to be the one that is going to be I felt it was the safest to make sure that we knew all students would have access to an account, all students and faculty would have access to an account. And again, I can get that range piece back to you.
Okay, so our elementary students do not have it, just middle school and high school?
Yep.
Okay,
But K-4 teachers would.
okay,
So teachers would have access, not students.
gotcha. And then just to make sure on that one, our institution address is the township building address, not the school district address. We probably want to update that.
I will make sure we do that. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, I have two quick questions. Scott, I don't know if you know this off the top of your head, and it's more curiosity than a necessity, but I was curious if Garbanzo, when you're talking about these different cultural immersive things that they've got in there, if part of that is materials from different countries that speak ostensibly the same language. So I'm thinking Spanish in Spain and Spanish in Peru and Spanish in Chile, or like French in France and French in Haiti, and like if that is sort of part of it, or if you don't know, that's okay. I just was curious.
I don't know that. I would refer to Shannon and get an answer for you specifically related to what you want. It supplements the curriculum. When I was talking to them about it, thinking about not bringing them out for tonight, but representing it to the best of my ability.
That's
we
why
spoke
it's absolutely fine. It was
verb
really just a
conjugation and
curiosity.
different, they really focus on the differentiation part of the learning of, that's where the primary driver for this purchase was.
All right, yeah.
I was
no.
hoping you were going to ask where the name came from. I've been racking my head for the last like 10 minutes. Is it
I mean, a
bean?
garbanzo
So-
is a garbanzo bean, which
Bean?
is the Spanish for chickpea.
Is that where the name-
That word, yeah, it's.
For this, sorry, off topic.
Yeah, it's a Spanish word. I mean, sure, it's like the least offensive weird name we've heard on various contracts we've had to approve. And my other one, Drew, is just with the Mac and Digital Library, are there license limits? So I am thinking when I want to check out a book and there are 17 other people that also want that book, and I have to sit there with my Libby and go, read this book faster. But if everybody in the class wants that same book, are we running into loan limits?
We do. So there are moments where if a book is checked out, other students don't have access to it.
Okay.
You are able to access books without actually checking them out, and then everybody can keep access is available. It's open that students have access to them, and we are mindful. So, we are able to, when we think about purchasing books that we need for a class, just like we would purchase replacement hard copies of books. There are times with Mac and V, if we see that there are certain titles that are checked out more frequently, or they're tied to our curriculum documents, we can buy a greater number of licenses for those books.
And I don't know if you would know this off the top of your head, but are our students allowed to put basically Libby on their district devices so that they can access our local Lower Merion Township libraries on school things? Or is that not really integrated?
That I do not know. I do know that, at least at the high schools, there are opportunities for students to get their library card at the beginning of the year. So I know that there is this.
I'm surprised it's
These
not
worlds
until high
talk.
school. I went home to my parents' house and I still found my very first Brooklyn Public Library card that I signed up for in first grade with Mrs. Flayton.
That's awesome.
Okay, thank you. Those are my two questions. Do you have any questions, Ben?
Yes, I just want to share
Go
like
for it.
student input. So I have used Amplify and Delta Math, and I've found good experiences with them. My peers have also had good, positive experience with them. I feel like they've been explained concepts well, and have enjoyed working with them. I believe a New York Times subscription is very valuable for the whole student body. I feel like having access to one of the best news sources in the world is extremely valuable, and I can actually learn from outside sources and be curious on my own about what's happening. But the one thing I cannot support is IXL. I've voiced concerns before the meeting, but the way that the practices work is just really degrading as a student. It makes you, every mistake is so much more meaningful than a correct answer, and it just degrades, how learning feels. And so I feel like I understand that there's diagnostic tools that it's needed for, but I would suggest for next year to look into other forms that are not IXL math. I'm not sure about IXL ELA. I have not used that. So.
All right, thank you for that feedback, and we'll definitely, I'm sure, keep it under advisement. Do we have any community comment on this? No community decided to join us today. Amy, do we have any online?
So, I'm sorry, they didn't include their full name and where they live, but they wanted to hear more about the change in the high school math that was mentioned.
Oh, we're going to have a presentation on it's not high school, but it's middle school, but those are the presentations we're gonna get to after we get through this fun draft review. Okay, so I'm gonna, ask for, on all of these, unless anybody has anybody to pull, is everybody okay putting these forward with the recommendation of the committee to the full board? Yes, yes? What? Yeah, all of them, yeah? Abby? No? Which one would you like to?
Well, Excel, I think, is a valid point.
Okay, so you want to register no for IXL? Any others?
No, it's okay.
Okay, great. So it still goes through with the recommendation of the committee because we still have a majority of the committee, but I'm not certain, but it can go forward to whatever is next in the process. Thank you, Ms. LaPera. It can go forward, all of those with the recommendation of the committee. Thank you all for that in-depth review of all of those contracts, and I assume we'll have even more next month. The end of the year always tends to be contract pew, pew, pew. So let's go to Power School and Schoology next.
So we pulled Power School out. The way we're framed this is we're looking for a 3-year approval, but purchasing 1 year next year. So the full approval we're asking for. And this is specifically the Schoology part of Power School. Power School's large. Schoology is our learning management system. So think about the communication in our secondary schools with home related to courses, assignments, grading workflows, communication between teachers and students, and a valuable tool that goes back and forth. The 3-year contract is $113,049.67. We're looking to pay, in the way we worked our budget, for year 1 next year at $35,860.33. And this is to continue with Schoology as our learning management system.
How many students is it licensed by license, or is it, how does?
5,600.
Okay, so it's all of middle and high school?
It's the 5 secondary schools, correct?
Okay.
3 middle, 2 high school.
Is there any discount in signing on for 3 years now, but then paying each year as it comes versus doing a 1-year subscription now, 1 year the following year, and 1 year the third year?
It was more about spreading the money out over the budget instead of purchasing it all at once. So we're able to be
Gotcha.
more responsible, meeting all the needs for next year.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. So I have a question that has to do with the data collection piece, Power School and Schoology. How is consent handled?
So from my understanding, every contract that we have will go through our solicitor for review. And part of that review is the COPA forms, which they take into account data privacy. So they wouldn't give us the go forward to sign the contract without that process of the solicitor review. That's what we use them for.
Okay.
Yep.
Are there consents done for each individual platform? Like for Schoology, yeah, contract Schoology.
Correct.
Power School, Amplify, et cetera?
Correct. Each contract that we sign separately, all of the terms in that contract will go to Whistler Pearl to review for data privacy and all the other protections of their COPA.
But do parents sign do they sign off on each one?
Amy, you always help me with that.
No, but in the annual notifications that are sent to all parents, there's the link to the COPA information and the consent form, and then everything, all the online educational service providers are listed on the website with links to their privacy policies. If you just put COPA in the
Right.
Find It Fast, you'll get the whole thing.
And that satisfies the consent required? Okay. I've heard sort of conflicting things, so I wanted to clarify. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ben, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify as well with the data. I know there was a recent lawsuit. I'm sure that's maybe what you were referencing. Is that, I don't know if that's specifically Naviance or if that's the whole Power School family as a whole, if you could just clarify.
So there's a class action settlement that's actually going to be finalized in August involving people who accessed Naviance, just that particular platform, from a period of, I believe it was 2023 and through this year. The information is available on our website for people that want to opt into that class. But it was Power School, which owns Naviance now, has not said they had any wrongdoing or any breach or anything like that, but they are settling with this class action suit that people can, with this class action settlement that people can join.
Okay, anybody else? No? Raise your hand if you're okay moving this forward to the next, whatever iteration this contract will go to. Yep, okay, thank goodness. We will move this forward to either facilities or the full board, whichever comes first. And I'm an echo of myself. It's like having my kids home all over again. Next, we're going to go on to our math presentation first. Yes?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, we are going to hear from Mr. Schwartz, who doesn't want to be Dr. Schwartz, about Amplify Desmos and an update on the implementation in our middle schools.
And as they're setting up, I will reintroduce Dr. Schwartz, who jumped in for us this year and dove right into really going into the schools to look at the implementation. We just presented an elementary program before, and I like the way he spoke about there's an approval, and then there's the implementation, which is supporting teachers and making sure we do a program to fidelity as much as possible. And Dr. Schwartz, coming in his first year, after we adopted Amplify Desmos, has done that, and he's here to give an update, and I'll turn it over to him.
I was here speaking to you about the K-4 math adoption. I thought it would make sense to give a follow-up to the middle school adoption. In middle school grades 5 through 8, we adopted Amplify Desmos as our core curriculum. Before I talk about where we are in implementation, just to go back, Amplify Desmos, very highly rated program from EdReports, was chosen at about this time 2 years ago to be our core curriculum for grades 5 through 8, phased implementation, because their principles matched that of the district. Number one being, when students feel a sense of belonging and connection, they're more likely to be engaged. That student thinking is valuable and can and should be made evident. That access to grade level math for every student every day is essential. And that differentiation happens when and where it matters most, when being on the spot every day and where in the classroom. During the 2024-25 school year, we brought Amplify to be our core curriculum in our grade level math classes, Math 6, 7, and 8. This year, it was introduced in Math 5 and our accelerated 6th grade classroom known as Math 6, 7A. Last year, and as part of the contract approval process a few minutes ago, the final piece would be next year when we bring it into our accelerated 7th grade class known as Math 7B8. The kickoff to the program, every teaching staff who is teaching the program received professional learning either from Amplify or from our district math specialist prior to implementing the program. However, implementation has to be more than just the kickoff. Implementation is ongoing throughout the life of the program. And so to try and figure out kind of where we are, this is my first year. I came here in August. I spent the last few months trying to collect data to figure out our way forward. That review included student data from state and local assessments, getting feedback from staff at PLCs, professional development sessions, meeting with building administrators, special education, teachers, achievement teams, and then conducting classroom observations. I've been in numerous, if not every single math classroom across our 3 buildings, across all 4 grades, both in relatively formal and informal matter. And what I found in that time is that our assessment data is, continues to be strong. From the diagnostic data in IXL this year in classes that are using Amplify, in just one semester from fall to winter, on average, students have grown 75% of growth expected over a full school year. Compared to the 2024 PSSA, the 25 data shows a slight increase in all students in terms of those scoring advanced and overall proficiency. that our PVOS continue to be well above in that dark blue category, and that I found a strength in terms of expressions and equations and functions in terms of content, and some areas for growth in terms of geometry and data and measurement, which honestly matched the state. That's not unique to us. The kind of, our scores in the state and where, we're seeing our highest improvement was similar to that in the state as well. Anecdotally, some really great successes I'm seeing is that we really have a strong culture for data-driven decision-making in our PLCs. We have a wonderful spirit of collaboration between our instructional and professional staff. From conversations with teachers, they have requested additional professional development, both in terms of program resources and content and instruction pedagogy. The supplemental materials have been added. Again, things like IXL or writing some some assessment pieces. Again, going back to ensuring alignment to PA core standards. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, programs are not written specifically for Pennsylvania or for Lower Merion, and we want to make sure that where standards are denser in Pennsylvania than in other places that we add value. The state assessment for Pennsylvania, the PSSA, is judged to be the second hardest across all 50 states. In terms of depth of knowledge, we wanted to make sure that we're adding more released items and things from the state in our assessments. And in classroom observations, I noted some varied use of our program materials, instructional routines across our classrooms, across grades, and across buildings. What that really tells me is our implementation moving forward over the next few years or for the life of our program, I really want to focus on 3 key areas. Professional development. I really think it's essential that we deepen the mathematical content and instructional pedagogy of our district staff. That is not saying they are not strong in that area. They are excellent. However, there is nothing more important than a great teacher with great resources, and I want to make sure that we double down in that effort. And that really actually starts May 19th, the next District Professional Development Day, partnering with Amplify trainers. The teachers have actually chosen between 2 programs, Enhancing Effective Planning, which is a program specific, and Enhancing Professional Practice. And I was glad that the teachers chose the Enhancing Practice session because they really want to develop their content and instruction, which I appreciate. I want to double down on our data analysis and reinforce the PLC process to continue focus on student learning, making sure that all students are learning, that our systems for enrichment and remediation are effective. And I want to focus on classroom instruction, what it looks like, what a common experience across all our buildings and classrooms look like, and really establish some common practices so that we can figure out which high-tech and low-tech options offer the greatest value, which supplemental resources enhance our core program, what strategies do we find most impactful. And those are going to be really the guiding things across the next 4 to 5 years, at least this initial contract with Amplify. Again, a short presentation, but I really wanted to land on all of you and on the public that implementation of a program is not the initial kickoff. The implementation is the organic growth. What are we putting into place? What evidence what data are we collecting, and how are we turning around that information to be better every year? So, again, short and sweet, but I want to share that information update.
Thank you so much. That was really informative, and I could tell that it had a lot of work and time put behind it in legwork and in preparation. Does anybody have any questions or comments? No? Jen, you go ahead.
When ready, because I know this is continuous work you're working on, will we be able to see a presentation or hear something on especially the data analysis part, the breakdown of, ensuring all students are learning and how this implementation continues to help improve with students in different tiers and everything, and how this curriculum is helping and with all students in all tiers?
Yeah, we've had those conversations a lot internally, is how do we share that information that we're collecting with you, with our staff, with the community, with parents, to make sure that that we're collecting data, that we're using data the right way, and that we're growing all of our students and moving everybody forward, and not just, here's the benchmark, where is everyone in terms of this? The students who are here that are moving forward, and everyone's kind of moving up, and the kids who are already here, how do we move them? And I think that, those growth goals are just as important as our achievement.
And how has this been with implementing, tying into especially the math sequence path going into high school?
So Dr. Rowland and I were just talking about this today. Honestly, I think that's probably another conversation, is looking at the change in acceleration and looking at the change in our pathways for students. There were some slight, tweaks and changes when, we're compacting 2 courses over 3 years, the accelerated, courses versus 1 year, 1 course over 2 years, different, when do you get accelerated and at what level and what does that put you in? I think that's probably a whole nother conversation, honestly, because there are slight tweaks that I want to make sure is really, really clear to everyone in this room and anyone who may be watching at home.
Thank you for that. Ben, did you have anything you wanted to add? No? All right. Do we have any comments on the chat or in person? Anybody want to talk about middle school math? I'm glad everybody came. We were missing you before when we were discussing contracts. All right, thank you so much. We are ready to, sorry, I blew up your spot. We are ready to move on to our full day kindergarten year 2 update.
Good evening, everyone. We are excited to be here tonight. With me sharing an update on full day kindergarten are 2 of our fabulous kindergarten teachers, Mrs. Lisa Gadetti and Ms. Kirsten Lawson. They have been longtime members of the full day K advisory team that was engaged in the planning, trying to envision the work. And I just, before we start, want to say what a community-based collaborative effort this was. We had parents, community members, board support, and a long-term group trying to look at feasibility. And that included our curriculum team, really trying to look at what are going to be the best outcomes for our students. So this really represents a lot of people involved in many things on Support of Kids, which we're really excited to share with you. So we're going to do a brief refresh on program goals, not assuming that everyone who is watching may have had a kindergartner and was following this at the time, so that we'll give you sort of a look back on the envisioning of the program. So our kindergarten teachers will give a refresh on program goals. We'll share some outcomes and key results. So there were certain areas that we said we were going to track over time. We gave an update last year at this time on kindergarten. And at that time, we shared that we're going to be following this cohort into 1st grade and taking a look at what does it look like for a student group in 1st grade after having a full day of kindergarten. We did collect some teacher input and observations, and we have some growth areas to share. And finally, ongoing supports, similar to what Dr. Schwartz shared, implementing in year 1. We knew what it looked like in year 1 was not what it was going to look like in year 2, year 3, and down the road. We want to get better every year. So some of those next steps the advisory team is taking, I'll share at the end. So first, this community commitment, we were hopeful that we were going to really bring great benefits to our students. It included greater achievement, narrowing gaps, higher scores, benefits of increased time, social emotional benefits, and a lot of interdisciplinary integrations. So some of that you're going to hear in the program descriptions our teachers share, and some of that you'll hear in the score updates. So I'm going to turn it over right now to Kirsten and Lisa.
Hi, everybody. Fresh off a full day kindergarten. Yes, I just found like a weird rogue stain over here. It's fine. But thank you for having us. It's been amazing. Full day kindergarten is, in our humble opinion, has been a big success. But this is a sample school day in the day of a life of a full day kindergartner. It's very close to what our schedule looks like at Belmont Hills, and it's beautiful. I loved half-day kindergarten. I loved it. I've got double the kids, double the love, but full-day kindergarten is my jam now, so I'll tell you why. Okay. So when we started the move toward full day, like Jen said, it didn't just happen. We had a team that worked together, and we kind of talked about what we wanted to enhance and what we already had, and the biggest gift we think is time. We got more time to do things. We didn't have to pick and choose between like if we were gonna do playtime or we were gonna do like math centers. Now we get to do everything, and it's such a gift. To start the year, we do fine motor boot camp. I think we talked about this last year, but we could figure out what kids needed in terms of that fine motor practice and got extra practice for the kids who are already nailing the correct pencil grip. But and win time, we have a time designated. I think every school, right, every school definitely does this. Win time when kids get extra practice with what they need, and in kindergarten they need a lot, but we get a targeted time to work on a specific skill over a span of however many weeks we need it. Purposeful play, guaranteed play time every single day is incredible. And we have more specials. And just talking with the squad here tonight, we realized when I was half day, I didn't ever get, occasionally would get the same planning time as my my co-kindergarten team, because we alternate on when we had specials. So now we have built-in planning time every day, which is great for, our PLC or just checking in with each other. So believe it or not, we didn't get that before when every other grade got it, so a gift. Okay. Science, we were just getting our feet wet in the last time we spoke about this, but now with a year and a half, a year and 131 days in calendar time, we're moving and grooving, and we love the curriculum, the hands-on aspect of it, but also the ability to tie it in and embed it into purposeful play. You'll see pictures on the next, maybe on the next slide. Yeah, when we embed it, but it's the creativity on the kindergarten team, and everyone texts and shares with each other, so it's awesome. Okay, and humanities. You could say we have time now to do everything that we wanted. We don't have to choose if we're doing centers or guided reading or whatever we're doing. We get time, which is the best. And then math, I got to pilot the program. So let me give a quick shout out to the honorary doctor, because I definitely hit you with that doctor when you came in. Mr. Schwartz came in to check out. He got the total treatment, the treatment, Scott, of the kindergartners, just pouncing on him, wanting to share with what we were doing in math. And with iReady, there's so much conversation involved. I don't work for them, I'm just saying. There's so much discussion and observations included with the program that they all wanted to share and tell him something about iReady. Okay, let me get back to the notes. But just wanted to give a shout out. And we also get to plan and think in thematic and more interdisciplinary ways. You'll get to see that on the next slide. And it just makes the learning more meaningful and fun, and they really remember it. So here's some shout out to Marion. This is footage from Marion. They got ducks. I don't know, that's street legal, but there's ducks in Marion. There's igloos at Penn Valley, I want to say. Yeah.
I got to hold one.
Did you wash your hands after? Okay. And that, yeah, just the kindergarten teachers. These are not my people. I mean, they're the Marion squad and Penn Valley squad, but shout out, like, how cool. And we have time to do this now. Okay, and then here, this is my crew though. This is Listening Center in action. Dory just bought us Listening Center, so the kids take it so seriously, like the book holder, the cleaner, the hander outer. And there's just time to have that authentic application and opportunities to just practice the skills we've been working on. So, yeah. Okay. I think that's my bit. Good job, Jen. Yeah.
So when we were divvying up the slides, they got the fun ones with the kid-centered. I have the mandate from PDE. So structured literacy, you may have heard this term. It's a way that we describe a literacy framework that is evidence-based. It's a mandate from the state. We're in really good shape because, honestly, Dr. Martin Patona is just committed, passionate, and really ahead of a lot of other districts in even thinking about this, and our teachers and her curriculum cadre are continually making changes and refinements. So mandates you may hear about, and just know that the curriculum cadre for literacy is really on it. In a nutshell, What you can see here is a very cool framework called Scarborough's Reading Rope. And it really just gives a nice visual of all the different things that go into making reading possible based on brain science, science of reading. That's just there to show you stuff that happens in the process of reading and how complex it is. And on the left is the list of resources, different, you can see how the skills intertwine, and these different resources are used in the classroom to meet the requirements of structured literacy and support science of reading in the classroom. So that just gives you a snapshot of what's going on as teachers are really trying to integrate so many critical and complex things, and the resources that we use to do that. So now I'm going to introduce Lisa Gudetti.
Thank you. So I get to talk a little bit more about the fund that Kirsten shared from before. So the planning committee felt very strongly about integrating the play-based learning and the purposeful play. We saw it as a powerful mode of learning, which was going to teach the standards, but also build and reinforce all the cognitive and academic skills that the students were learning. We have a richer time for social emotional learning because of all that engagement amongst the children that just occurs naturally, but also when we're provided with all of the tools, just kind of, it lends itself to the creativity of the children, the engagement of the children, and just their enthusiasm. So, part of the professional learning included the book study for the purposeful play, and we saw it as an authentic way of teaching core skills, negotiation, collaboration, problem solving, active listening, growth mindset, self-regulation among the students, and again, their creativity. We'll speak to it a little bit with our pictures that are coming next, but all of that helped with the application of all the academic skills and the cognitive skills that we were trying to promote. We're able to apply all of them as we go through the purposeful play and play-based learning. So here you see a lot of the children collaborating and building. You'll see our store, our shops are very engaging and playful, but when you step back and look at them, the children are using their writing skills to write a menu or to make a sign. The children are counting, they're checking each other, they're saying, oh no, you need this money. They're making a backdrop. When we did our time with pumpkins, we had the literacy, and then we applied it in our play-based learning. The children made their own pumpkins. They painted little bag pumpkins. They sold their pumpkins. They made a list of what they could do, and they worked together to make a pumpkin patch. So these are the types of things, like Kirsten said, that we are afforded the time now with the full day K. And then you see the learning throughout the day, the counting, the writing, the integration of all the skills that we work on a daily basis. And then the social emotional learning, where they are collaborating and they're working out things with each other on a regular basis. Not that. Again, you'll see more shop or store time and building. The children, as you can see, are applying many of the skills that we are teaching throughout the day. This is our time for application, which is just wonderful. And being early childhood educators, we are very mindful of the screen time issue. We do believe in having a pencil in their hand, having a book in their hand, being able to engage with each other on a regular basis, more so than looking at a screen. So when we do have it, it's very limited. It would be only as maybe a response board. If we're doing the calendar, it would be for them to be putting down the sounds like we did today and Monday. writing the number. Today was the 13th. We have the 1 first, and reinforcing the place value. That would be a very small piece, and then throughout the week, some teachers would use it as reinforcement to our math skills that are introduced, or our reading skills. But it is very thoughtful in our use. And then here are some ways that some of the teachers are using it. Like we said, the dream box, we're number tracing, whole group response. That's what I was speaking out today when we were doing the calendar. It'll be like a response board for the children. Literacy, the independent work done at literacy centers, or recording their own reading as they're doing on Seesaw. And then again, enrichment or supplemental practice for things that we had previously covered in class and that we are just reviewing with them. But like we said, we value the actual playtime that we have. Are you going to speak to this? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Right. So I'm going to share some of the outcomes and key results, and these are related to areas that we measure growth in. When we were planning full-day kindergarten, it was determined that we already collect a lot of data on an annual basis, and rather than invent something new that would measure progress, we would continue to use the tools that were in place at the time and just look at differences in our cohort so that we could reflect back on ways to continue to grow the program. So in summary, in looking at the data, one of the greatest assessments that we use is called Dynamic Indicators of Basic Early Literacy Skills. It's also called DIBELS. So you may have heard that before in some of our data presentations. It's an assessment that's given to all students 3 times a year. So in looking at our DIBELS for mid-year, the reason we use the mid-year for this update is we don't have our end-of-year scores yet, so we won't be able to report on that until next year, and we use the mid-year last year as the point of comparison. So in looking, comparing mid-year of year 1 to mid-year of year 2, slight decrease in overall performance, not hugely significant. And last year when we looked at our data, the place that we really started to see some magic was in the subtest scores. So the overall score gives us a sense of student risk. You looked more deeply at the subtest to see student progress or performance on certain reading sub-skill areas. So when we started to look at those nuanced reports, we got really excited last year, and same this year. New guided reading assessment is in place this year. So it has some increased expectations. That's a new baseline. We still included it just for information, and we'll continue to monitor that year to year. Our math performance in kindergarten remains consistently high, and we did see a nice increase in mid-year writing scores in moving from 79 to 87. So that's a summary. I'm going to go quickly just through some of these graphs so that you can see the color shifts as we go through, because it's kind of, it's telling, you can see where the numbers are landing. So DIBELS, there's a little description here of what that is. It includes tests like letter naming fluency, phoneme segmentation fluency, nonsense word fluency, word reading and oral reading fluency. So these are the sub-score areas that are looked at, and students participate in screening every year, beginning of year, mid-year, and end of year. So those are some of the scores that are looked at. If we look at the mid-year, this screen, if we look at the end of year, last year when we shared the mid-year, I wasn't able to give you the end of year. But now we can do that look back, and you can see end of year in the year prior to full day K and end of year, year 1. So that is data that was not available, and you can see a nice little bump there. So now if we go back and look at the mid-year, and we look at the 3-year view, we're looking stronger than before full day K and about in the neighborhood of last year for year 2. When we look at guided reading, one of the noticings that we had last year is we were seeing an increase in students scoring at the advanced level, which was exciting, even though the test has changed for this year. new assessment and setting a new baseline, we're still seeing some nice strengths there. Our mid-year math benchmark, we're still seeing a nice strong performance, 97%, and we were 97% last year as well, slight increase from prior years before full-day kindergarten. And our mid-year rating, again, we were seeing an increase in students scoring at advanced levels, so that's a noticing we want to continue to watch and keep looking at leading students to more advancement. I think when you're looking at any data, it begs the question as we're looking at it, what do you do with it after? And you have already heard presentations on PLCs, how teams work with data, MTSS. So know that while we're very excited about the student strengths that we're seeing, anywhere that you're seeing students who are not quite hitting a benchmark by this time of the year, there are systems of support available for them. So these are the DIBELS subtest scores that I mentioned that we were excited to see. So letter naming fluency is just one of them, and to the right on each of these slides, there's a little description of what it is. I'm going to orient you to this first slide. This shows that beginning, middle, and end of year view, but this is a 5-year view. So you can see I've circled or boxed there the 24-25 and the 25-26 school year. So the orange bar and the blue bar that are in the red box, those represent last year. The orange bar is last year's cohort. The blue bar is this year's cohort. Obviously, we don't have an end of year blue bar yet, but we will. But you can see in this image that we have slightly higher growth at the mid-year last year in the orange. And at the end of last year, that orange bar is a nice bump from where performance ended in prior years. Same thing in this next slide. You can see slight increase at the mid-year, stronger finish at the end of year. And this is phoneme segmentation, another foundational literacy skill. And again, on nonsense word fluency, we're still looking at the performance of the year 1 and 2 full-day K cohorts in orange and blue. Nice bump up at the mid-year, and again, stronger finish at the end of year after full-day kindergarten. And we see that same thing here for nonsense word fluency, nice bump up at the mid-year, and nice strong finish on these sub-skill areas. And again here, although this did raise questions about what happened in 2021, so we have some looking back that we're doing there as well, because that early turquoise blue caught our attention. So you can see that we're making some nice gains with our cohort. So one of the things that we ended last year with when we shared the mid-year data was a question about following the students as they moved into grade 1. And one of the things that as we met with our full-day K advisory team, I can't tell you, if I had a nickel for every time I heard a kindergarten teacher say, I can't wait until first grade teachers see where these kids are. I can't wait till first grade teachers see what they can do in terms of independence, in terms of academic skills. There was such enthusiasm and excitement for it. We were really excited to investigate as well. So what I'll be sharing with you for first grade is the end of year DIBELS subtest scores, so some of what you couldn't see at the end of last year. Some of it was, you saw the 2-year view in the previous pictures, so you'll see that in these views. But one of the things that's really exciting about grade 1, if you remember in those bars where we were ending the year higher in kindergarten, that means we were beginning the year stronger in first. So you're going to see a different box circled here. Where we can see some different strengths. So beginning of grade 1, so this would be, instead of looking at mid-year and end of year like we did for kindergarten, we're looking at beginning and mid-year for first. So when we look at beginning of year first grade scores, we have a nice bump in first year DIBELS scores at the beginning of the year with the rising full-day K cohort. So that first cohort performance is shown on the far right. Our grade 1 mid-year scores, you'll see again, we've got if they were, they started it with a 50% and 33% proficient, so about 83% at the start of the year. They're continuing to hold that ground. Keep in mind, this is a test whose benchmark rises at each administration. So the expectation increases for each test. So they had a nice strong start to the year, and they're maintaining that and a little bit stronger than previous cohorts at that time of year before full-day kindergarten. And here's what that looks like when we look at the subtest performance. If you look at the circled blue bar at the left, that is our first graders coming into first grade, and you can see how on this subtest they are starting out higher than previous years in first grade. And you can see at the mid-year, they are higher than previous first grades. And you're going to see that trend throughout the first grade scores. So this is, we were excited that the first grade teachers saw more independence, and I'll share a little bit of that, but we were very excited to see they came in strong and continue to get stronger. So you can see that here in some of the same subtests. That same circled blue box represents our first graders who represent the first full-day K cohort as they've risen to first grade. All right, so I think you get the idea of what we were excited about there. So in addition to sharing the DIBELS scores, the overall and the sub-scores, we wanted to take some qualitative data from our first grade teachers. So the next couple slides have a lot of text on them, but we recognize not a lot of people are able always to come to meetings if we kept them as just talking points. So there's more text here, but it's helpful to tell a story once, a voice isn't here to be the one talking. So what you'll see in the first column, we gave teachers an opportunity to rate. Are you finding this first grade cohort compared to prior first graders at the start of the year as having any strengths relative to prior years? And you can see the percentages there. The one that really stood out is 88% stronger familiarity with routines, which you would expect. What was really cool about that is once we started unpacking some of their comments, and we'll see a couple slides from now, some of those routines included routines that were academic skill-based, like in foundations. So they knew school routines, lunch, a lot of things that had to do with the routines of a school day, but some of them were really academic-based, which was cool. 65% greater independence, and you can see the rest. So some of the things we were hoping to see, teachers were reporting out of. We're also sensitive to, we're taking qualitative data and it's self-reporting. Are people telling us what they think we want to hear? And are we asking leading questions that maybe are like leading them to say, yeah, they do seem stronger. We had enough people who were really giving frank responses with, it's very hard to compare, for kids at this age. There are some kiddos who it doesn't matter whether they had full day K are going to struggle with, for example, independence or organization and need more support going forward. We also had a couple occasional differences. The class seems very young. Their active listening is a challenge. So it made us feel that people were really being honest and they were being really thoughtful and reflective, which we appreciated. So overall, largely positive themes, very positive in the sense of perceived impact of first day K, or first full day K. These are some of the examples of quotes that were shared. I'm just going to read the bold words here: the creativity, the inquisitive traits of the group, school routines, lunch numbers, stamina to do more learning, because at the beginning of a school year, that was a repeated theme it's hard to make that transition to first grade from a half-day kindergarten program, and they definitely noticed that. And the adjustment from first grade to kindergarten, or from kindergarten to first grade, was easier this year. Again, the academic skills impressions by fall first grade teachers, a lot of familiarity. You saw amazing up there with all caps and exclamation points. Their familiarity and confidence with foundations is amazing. Also, ability to discuss math strategies, generating ideas, persisting. So some really nice observations were made of some of the, if you want to think of them as independent or learning skills related to the first grade cohort, was exciting to see. And then the social emotional is what we had hoped with the commitment to purposeful play, that we were going to have kids who were really advancing in their interrelational skills and in navigating conflict, and some of what we were hoping to see and what we really worked for with the purposeful play and trying to make space for kids to have that time together, we were seeing in some of the first grade teacher comments. And we felt like the first grade teachers were being honest and keeping it real, because, you know, they said, well, yes, they can articulate a lot of these SEL ideas as well, but they still need reminders to actually do it, which is completely age appropriate. So we really felt like, yes, but they can articulate it, yay. So, so the perception that, you know, there's some great things in place and great things happening, you know, we were just really excited about. So ongoing supports, this doesn't happen in a vacuum. We have a group of teachers who have been part of this full day K committee. In the first year, we had a check-in, February of 2025. This year, we had our check-in February of 2026, pretty close in time. And we're working on what other data do we want to collect to help us grow. Like, this is great, but you know, teachers are so close to this data in PLCs, like they already knew this, but in terms of how do we want to grow practices, some of those conversations are where we're focusing. So we have a bank of our year one themes, perceptions of student growth in year one. Our year one works in progress, we'd already identified some things that we wanted to work towards last year. So the full day K advisory team is going to keep working together to calibrate expectations, working more toward that integration rather than sort of blocks of time. So those are things that the team started talking about. And in our first iteration with our advisory group this year, we've identified a couple areas we want to add to that works in progress list, and that includes taking more time at the start of the year to when you think about responsive classroom, that first 6 weeks of school, you're teaching kids how to be in community, how to, you know, be part of a classroom, part of a school community that's engaged with each other, and how to play. So some of what they were talking about was we gave X amount of time and certainly continue it through the year, but more dedicated time at the start of the year was an ask. So maybe looking at some pacing thoughtfully. We still want to do some more rubric development, looking at social emotional learning, you know, how often are kids, you know, playing together or doing that alongside play. So there are a lot of areas that we want to look deeper and do more kid watching with, which is going to be exciting as we go forward. So measuring and planning that continued growth. Our teachers, and it's a big group, and it's representative, so we have a couple principals on there. Sean Bernadowitz has been great working with Lisa Guidetti on helping to create some tools for taking some additional data on strengths and obstacles and ideas and solutions that we can take to the broader group. And then we're looking at how do we turn that around. We have the opportunity now, as Kirsten shared previously, common time for kindergarten teachers was a challenge, and they now have it. So we can leverage PLCs for some of those conversations and continue. Oops. This is an area, you know, teacher support and learning. We have some grand ideas of what we'd like to make possible. You know, how can we get people to visit and see each other's classrooms? How can we create these virtual sharing networks? So we have a lot of ways that teachers want to be creative with collaboration, virtual resource banks. Some of them are in early phases of, you know, different iterations, and we want to just continue to leverage the collaboration that started in envisioning full day kindergarten and really keep that momentum going for really a passionate and visionary and really engaged group that can be innovative as we think about how to support kids going forward. So this is a great work and great group to work with. Curriculum cadre updates. When we think about PA Steels, when we think about structured literacy, the work that the teachers do is supported immensely by our supervisory team, and they are deeply engaged, deeply enmeshed, and working with PLCs on feedback on how assessments are going, pacing, and so forth, and what should professional learning look like, and how can we further support them. So it really is a dynamic, interdisciplinary, and cross-department collaboration, which I think has really made this just such a wonderful initiative.
Hi, I'm Troy and I go to Kenwood. Hi, I'm Vivian. I go to Kenwood. Hi, I'm Nahama and I go to Kenwood.
What is your favorite thing about kindergarten?
I like foundations. Going to gym, doing math, going to recess? Well, I love doing math.
And what is something that you learned to do that you didn't know how to do at the beginning of the year?
Read. Well, I learned how to write and read. Read and equal 30 plus 20.
What does 30 plus 20 equal?
50. Is it my turn? Please don't buy it from me again. 2. 2. Target. Wow. 3.
We'll add.
What is something that you feel you can do now much better than you could do in the beginning of the year?
I don't know.
Right? So thank you, and at this time we'll take questions. Do we want to come up to the podium?
Perfect. Ms. LaPera is telling us that we have,
7-11, so you have like 6 seconds.
no, we have until 7:20. Okay, so I don't have any questions. I just wanted to start off by saying thank you, and also, like, I know we talk a lot about recognition, but specifically since I have some of you kindergarten folks here, I know that what we asked of you sort of threw your professional and daily lives up in the air, and we were just like, you can do it, please now do it. And you have done it so incredibly, and I want to express for myself, my colleagues, and the parents of our district how grateful we are for your efforts. It does not go unnoticed and unrecognized. Does anybody else on the board have questions or comments, recognizing that we are short on time and I want to allow for community?
I just want to second that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. One of my kid was in whatever. That was great. Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Okay. No? Yeah? Ben? No? Okay. Do we have anybody from the community? Come on up. This is fulfilling my dream of being Bob Barker when I grow up. Come on down. Need a big wheel behind me.
Hi, I'm Juliet Jeter. I have 2 questions. When you were giving us data, do you break the data down by if the kids had any pre-learning before they came to kindergarten? And do you break it down by ethnicity or race? There are questions I'd like to know.
Sure. So the data lives in our data warehouse called Linkit. And in Linkit, we had them add years in the district so that as we're looking at student groups, we can see how many years a student has been in the district. So we can see what school participation a student has had prior to when we're looking at an assessment. It's a little trickier if their prior experience is out of the district, depending on how or what they report at registration. So if they're telling us what their prior schooling was before they come here, then we have that information. In terms of kindergarten, the schools are pretty close to looking at that data. In fact, when we met as an advisory team, that was a question that came up. When we're looking at our pacing for the start of the year, looking at how we're preparing all students to participate in school, one of the conversations was how do we scaffold more for students who sometimes don't have prior schooling, and that even though there are efforts that are in place, how can we improve? So that's definitely something that is looked at the building level for sure, and at the district level in conversation about how do we improve this and make it part of our system-wide response. And then in terms of disaggregating in Linkit, we do have the opportunity, and everybody's had training in how to break it down and take a look at how students are performing by group, and that can be by can be by IEP status, it can be by ethnicity. So we can do that disaggregation. There's something called a grouping report. The people who do it most frequently at a system level are probably like our ISTs or who are instructional support teachers, and our CSIs, which is our coordinators of student interventions. They had that training at the very beginning when we were looking at our students who are getting some additional support. So those are things that happen at the building and at the PLC level. We pull that at the district level as well. The other interesting thing that I didn't share about the scatter plot, not scatter plot, the box plots, where we looked at the sub-skills, is in addition to looking at student performance in a disaggregated way, we can also look at student performance by their percentile. So are we serving the different types of students equally well, and how can we be more reflective about our practices? So those are some data conversations that happen. Those are great questions. Thank you.
Do we have anybody else? Any online comments? All right, then I'm going to give everybody a gold star because we ended 2 minutes before the meeting is over. I would like, okay, you have 30 seconds, so we can still be 2 minutes ahead of when the meeting's over.
I just want to say thank you again, very, very much. One question or one comment I have is I really appreciate the screen discussion about, being mindful and intentional. I wonder if there could be some consideration for sort of reassessing whether or not every student needs one device since they're used sort of infrequently and so intentionally. Just want to throw that out there as a food for thought.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, I am just trying to get through and find what the date for May 11th, I should know that, that's my best friend's birthday.
It's not your mom's birthday.
I know, but it's the day after my birthday and it's my best friend's birthday. So you all can come back next month and celebrate the fact that I've just turned 40. So I hope you all have a really, really fantastic rest of April and enjoy the flowers outside. We are adjourned.